Welcome back to another episode of Cannaspirations. Today we are discussing the Virginia Cannabis Regulatory Update. Applications may begin as soon as February 1st of 2027. What has changed? The previously vetoed legislation has been pushed through by Governor Spanberger in a budget compromise. The state is shifting to a regulated adult use marketplace with lottery-based licensing if demand exceeds caps. So let's go ahead and dive in.
That's right. This new framework basically follows what we saw in the Senate and House bills. They're going to be cultivation, processing, transportation, and retail with delivery licenses available, as well as testing labs and a pathway for medical operators to sell adult use as well. There are going to be 350 retail licenses capped through 2028. They might expand at that point. Five tier five cultivation licenses, the largest license tier is capped, and 100 micro business licenses. Now, keep in mind that the first 50% of these these licenses will be reserved for impact licenses. This is what Virginia is calling social equity licenses. Warren, tell us more about the licensing and lottery process and how those impact licenses will work.
Absolutely. Let's dive in. So, yeah, the first thing is your lottery and the ownership structure, right? So, first of all, you can only submit one application per license type. You do have to qualify, meaning going through answering all of the questions, filling out the attestations, ensuring that all of the ownership members are actually qualified to be licensees in Virginia. And then, of course, the impact licensees will get first selection in the round. As Beck mentioned, 50% of those licenses are designated for these type. If they are not selected in that first pool, they do get rolled over into the general pool. Once all of the lottery licenses have been issued, all of these licensees will have 18 months to identify a site that is the appropriate distance from schools and churches and to submit their final documents, their SOPs, their operating manuals, and security plans.
So, if you're thinking about qualifying for impact license eligibility, you will need a few things. The impact criteria is a little bit different in Virginia. First, standard 51% ownership. You must have majority control of the business as an impact applicant. You must have residency either through living in disproportionately police jurisdiction or living 3 of 5 years in an economically disadvantaged community. Plus, on top of the residency, you must have one other qualifying factor. This would be a cannabis conviction or a family member with a cannabis conviction. You attended 5 years of primary or secondary school in a disadvantaged community. You attended 2 years at a university where at least 30% of the students receive Pell Grants. You were a veteran, or if you qualified as a USDA distressed farmer and received relief from that. If you are selected and win a license, you cannot transfer majority control for 5 years. So you can only transfer up to 49% of your license for 5 years. It's a good idea to pull these documents together now to go ahead and get proof of where you lived, where you went to school, your ID, and any of your DD 214 if you're a veteran, and or your USDA relief documentation.
So, what will applicants need for the February lottery? Basically, it's not too early to go ahead now and start forming your Virginia entity. Also, an operating agreement with your cap table showing the ownership and the members of this license. And then, of course, understanding whether or not all of this ownership is going to actually be able to pass background check to own one of these licenses should they win the lottery. The application package will have, your license type plus what regions you're applying to be in. in terms of, if you're an impact licensee, of course, your impact license eligibility, an attestation for your labor peace agreement, and then, of course, the application fee. This varies whether or not you're an impact licensee, and of course, which type or tier of license you are applying for.
Now's the time to get application ready before the forms drop. Go ahead and validate, make sure you can qualify for impact eligibility and that your owners are all going to qualify and have no disqualifying offenses. Build your business plan and your financial pro forma. You know, you need to know whether you can afford to do this or need to get funding, have proof of concept to get funding for this idea. Apply, make sure you have somebody review your application before you press submit. You don't get another opportunity to qualify for this lottery. They will likely just reject you for a minor error in your application. And then convert. You will have 18 months to convert, and there's a lot that goes into that conversion process. Aside from the compliance aspect, book a meeting with Cannaspire. We can help you with a business plan or an application readiness review, and make sure that you have a successful chance of winning the lottery.
Absolutely. Thanks so much for joining us for another episode of Cannaspirations. Let's win in Virginia.